In a quiet suburban neighborhood, Emily and her family moved into a charming old house. The allure of its vintage charm was hard to resist, but the real estate agent had disclosed one peculiarity: an ominous basement, locked away and off-limits. Curiosity gnawed at Emily, and late one night, unable to resist, she crept down to explore the forbidden depths. The air grew colder as she descended the creaking stairs. The basement was bathed in a dim, eerie light emanating from a single flickering bulb. The room was cluttered with dusty old furniture and cobwebs clung to every corner. But it was the wall that drew Emily's attention, covered in faded photographs of people she didn't recognize, their faces hauntingly sad. A shiver raced down her spine as a whisper echoed through the room, barely audible. Emily strained to hear it, feeling a mix of dread and fascination. The voice seemed to come from all directions, as if the very walls were murmuring secrets. Days turned into weeks, and Emily's obsession with the basement grew. She spent hours poring over old photographs and researching the house's history. Her family noticed her withdrawal from daily life, but she was consumed by a compelling need to uncover the basement's secrets. One night, as Emily stared at the photographs, she noticed that one picture was different. A woman stood at the center, her eyes hauntingly familiar. Panic gripped Emily as she realized it was her own reflection, captured in a sepia-toned photograph. Terror coursed through her veins and she turned to flee, but the basement door slammed shut, trapping her. Panic surged as the whispers grew louder, their words incomprehensible yet filled with malevolence. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, a woman in a tattered dress, her eyes vacant yet filled with sorrow. Emily's heart pounded as the figure spoke, her voice a haunting lament. "Release me. Free my soul." Paralyzed with fear, Emily listened as the woman recounted a tragic tale from decades ago. She had been a resident of the house, trapped in a cycle of despair and longing. The basement had become her prison, her restless spirit bound by unfinished business. Emily's empathy overcame her fear. She promised to help the trapped spirit find peace. With trembling hands, she searched for clues in the basement, piecing together the woman's story. Letters and photographs revealed a tale of lost love, heartbreak, and an untimely death. Days turned into nights as Emily delved deeper into the mystery, her connection with the spirit growing stronger. Through seances and research, she learned that the woman's name was Elizabeth. With every discovery, the basement seemed to shift. The air grew warmer, the light steadier, and the whispers turned into soothing melodies. One night, as Emily sat amidst the relics of the past, a powerful surge of energy enveloped her. Elizabeth's voice resonated through the room, thanking her for her efforts. The basement walls seemed to sigh in relief, and Emily felt a profound sense of closure. The following morning, Emily unlocked the basement door and stepped into the sunlight, her heart light with the knowledge that she had helped free Elizabeth's spirit from its torment. The house felt different, its vintage charm brighter, and a newfound sense of peace permeated its walls. Emily shared her journey with her family, who were amazed by her courage and determination. The house's atmosphere shifted, and the basement transformed from a place of fear to a realm of understanding and connection. As the years passed, Emily's story became a local legend, a tale of empathy and bravery. The basement no longer held secrets. Instead, it stood as a testament to the power of compassion and the resilience of the human spirit. And in the quiet hours of the night, the basement walls seemed to whisper stories of the past, a reminder that even in darkness, there is always a glimmer of light waiting to be discovered. In the heart of a small town, nestled among the trees, stood a quaint cottage that exuded charm. The soft glow of its windows at night seemed inviting, except for the one place no one dared to enter: the basement. What lay beneath was a tale whispered in hushed voices, passed down through generations. Amy and her husband John were drawn to the cottage's character and warmth. With dreams of a cozy home, they moved in without hesitation. As they settled in, the allure of the basement's locked door became irresistible. It was the only part of the house that seemed untouched by time. Curiosity finally got the better of Amy one evening. With a flashlight in hand, she ventured down the narrow stairs, the wooden steps creaking beneath her feet. The air grew cooler as she descended, and a musty scent filled her nostrils. The basement was dimly lit by a single bulb, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Old furniture and forgotten relics filled the space, yet it was the atmosphere that sent shivers down Amy's spine, as if she had stepped into a place untouched by time. As she explored, a rustling sound echoed in the darkness. Amy's heart raced as she aimed her flashlight toward the corner of the room. 2 pinpricks of light gleamed back at her. Trembling, she realized it was a pair of feral eyes staring back. A cat emerged from the shadows, its matted fur and gaunt appearance evoking a sense of pity. Amy approached carefully, but the cat darted past her and towards the stairs. It paused, glancing back as if beckoning her to follow. Unable to resist, Amy trailed after the cat, the beam of her flashlight cutting through the darkness. The cat led her to a far corner of the basement, where an old wooden door stood ajar. The air grew colder, and the whispers of the past seemed to fill the space. The room beyond was smaller than the main basement, and its walls were adorned with faded wallpaper peeling at the edges. In the center of the room lay an ornate mirror, its glass tarnished by time. Amy's reflection stared back at her, but something felt off. The image seemed to waver, as if the mirror held secrets of its own. A voice, soft and melancholic, floated through the air. "Help me!" Amy spun around, her flashlight beam searching the room. There in the corner sat a woman. She wore a dress from a bygone era, her eyes filled with desperation. Amy's heart went out to her, and her initial fear transformed into empathy. The woman's tale unfolded like a tragic melody. She was Isabella, a resident of the cottage centuries ago. She had fallen in love with a man from a rival family, and their secret meetings in the basement had been discovered. Isabella had been confined to that very room, her spirit trapped by heartache and betrayal. Amy listened, her heart heavy with the weight of Isabella's sorrow. She felt a bond, a connection that spanned generations. With the mirror as a conduit, Amy promised to help free Isabella from her eternal prison. Days turned into nights as Amy delved into local history, researching Isabella's story. She uncovered old letters and journals that painted a vivid picture of a love torn apart by societal norms. Armed with newfound knowledge, she began to perform seances and rituals in the basement, hoping to bridge the gap between the living and the spectral. One fateful night, as Amy stood before the mirror, Isabella's voice filled the room with a mixture of longing and anticipation. The mirror seemed to shimmer, its surface rippling like water. Amy's reflection blurred and then shifted, merging with Isabella's image. The room filled with a brilliant light, and a presence enveloped Amy. It was as if she was standing in the past, witnessing Isabella's life unfold before her eyes. She saw the clandestine meetings, the whispered promises of love, and the heart-wrenching betrayal that had shattered Isabella's world. Tears streamed down Amy's cheeks as she reached out to Isabella, their hands touching across time. Isabella's gaze held gratitude and relief as she whispered, "Thank you." With a final surge of energy, the mirror's brilliance faded, and Amy was back in the present. The basement felt different, lighter, as if a heavy weight had been lifted. The air no longer held whispers of sorrow. Instead, it seemed to hum with a gentle serenity. In the days that followed, Amy shared her experiences with John, who listened with a mixture of awe and skepticism. The basement no longer felt off-limits. Instead, it became a place of connection and understanding. As the years went by, the cottage's reputation transformed. It was no longer the house with a haunted basement. It was a home where a connection between the living and the past had been forged. Isabella's story became a cherished part of the town's history, a tale of love and redemption that transcended time. And in the basement, where Isabella's spirit had once lingered, a sense of peace reigned. The mirror stood as a testament to the power of empathy and the ability to bridge the gap between the realms of the living and the departed. The basement was no longer a place of fear, but a space where the echoes of the past whispered stories of love, loss, and the unbreakable bonds that connect us all. In the heart of a small, quiet neighborhood, nestled beneath a seemingly ordinary house, lay a basement with a chilling secret. The house, while charming, had an unsettling history that only the locals whispered about. Katie, a young woman with a taste for adventure, was drawn to the old house's charm and uniqueness. With a fascination for history, she moved in, excited to uncover the tales hidden within its walls. The house was everything she had hoped for, except for one thing: the basement. The basement's entrance was hidden behind a locked door that sent shivers down Katie's spine. There was something unnerving about it, something that made her hesitate to even approach it. But her curiosity was insatiable, and one night, unable to resist any longer, she found herself in front of the door, key in hand. The basement was dimly lit by a single light bulb, casting long shadows that danced along the walls. The air was cool and damp, carrying with it a musty scent that spoke of forgotten secrets. Old furniture was strewn about, covered with dusty sheets, and cobwebs clung to every corner. As Katie explored, her unease grew. It was as if she was being watched, as if an unseen presence lingered just beyond her vision. She shook off the feeling, attributing it to her imagination. She was determined to unravel the mysteries that the basement held. Weeks turned into months, and Katie found herself spending more time in the basement than anywhere else. She pored over old photographs, sifted through forgotten trinkets, and read up on the house's history. But there was one aspect that remained elusive: the story of the basement itself. One night, as she sifted through a pile of old journals, a whisper echoed through the air. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but it sent a shiver down Katie's spine. She glanced around, her heart pounding, but the basement remained still and silent. Doubt began to creep in. Maybe she was letting her imagination run wild. But then the whisper returned, stronger this time, and it seemed to carry words. "Help me!" Katie's breath caught in her throat as she spun around, searching for the source of the voice. Her flashlight beam danced across the room, revealing nothing out of the ordinary, but the sensation of being watched had intensified, and she could feel eyes on her. Summoning her courage, Katie ventured further into the basement, her flashlight flickering as if in response to the unseen presence. The air grew colder, and the whispers turned into a chorus of voices, each one a desperate plea for help. And then she saw it, a shadowy figure standing at the far end of the basement. Its features were indistinct, but its presence was overwhelming. The whispers grew louder, a cacophony of sorrow and longing that seemed to pierce through her very soul. "Who are you?" Katie's voice quivered as she spoke. The figure remained still for a moment before finally responding, its voice a haunting mixture of sadness and desperation. "I am trapped. Help me find peace." Katie's heart went out to the figure, her empathy overcoming her fear. The figure's name was Amelia, and she had been a resident of the house long before Katie's time. She recounted a tragic tale of love, loss, and betrayal that had led to her untimely demise. She had been confined to the basement, her spirit trapped between the realms of the living and the dead. Determined to help Amelia find peace, Katie delved deeper into the house's history. She unearthed old newspaper clippings and documents that corroborated Amelia's story. As the pieces fell into place, the basement seemed to come alive with a presence that was both sorrowful and hopeful. Night after night, Katie communicated with Amelia, learning more about her life and the circumstances that had bound her to the basement. She performed rituals and reached out to mediums, hoping to bridge the gap between the two worlds. And then, one fateful night, as Katie stood in the basement, a warmth enveloped her. The air seemed to hum with energy, and a brilliant light filled the space. Amelia's presence was strong, and her voice was filled with gratitude. "Thank you," Amelia's voice echoed. "You have given me the peace I longed for." As the light faded, Katie felt a sense of fulfillment that she had never experienced before. The basement felt different, no longer haunted by whispers of despair. Instead, it seemed to radiate with a serene energy. Over time, Katie shared her experience with friends and family who listened with awe and disbelief. The house's reputation shifted, no longer a place to be feared, but a place that held a connection between the living and the departed. Amelia's story became a local legend, a testament to the power of empathy and the ability to bring closure to those who had been forgotten. And as the years went by, the basement's secrets remained, whispered only to those who dared to listen, a reminder that even in the darkest corners, there's always the possibility of redemption and peace.